morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're at. Welcome to what I think is the final session of the Community Summit, aside from an awards session that will be coming up next. Really excited to welcome everyone to the topic of culture, delivering on your brand. My name is Vanessa Perry. I'm the Director of Training and Talent Development here at Niagara. I've had the privilege of, over the last 8 years, helping to drive and develop our cultural values and our programs that go along with that. Excuse me. So I'm really excited for this topic in particular. We're really going to explore how we ensure that our culture, whether that's in the community or in an organization, truly reflects the brand values and how brand alignment can really create positive and meaningful experiences for community members or team members at an organization. So to do that, we've got two community members who are going to speak with us today. We have, here we go, we have Chris Gutierrez, who's online, president of KC SmartPort and Kansas City Area Development Council. And we have John Sweatman in the room, director, Opelika Economic Development. So really excited to have them talk about their experiences with culture. So they'll each do a presentation and then we'll open it up for some Q&A after. So we'll go ahead, Chris, I know we've got you online. We'll have you kick off if you want to do an introduction and then jump into your presentation.
Yes, great. Thank you, Vanessa. It's a privilege to be here. I can tell you in the 25, 30 years I've been doing economic development, the Niagara team is one of the best. You guys were organized, you focused on what you needed to do, and you had the right people in the room. So it's a privilege for me to be part of your event today. So thank you. I wish I was out in California, but I'm sitting at my desk in Kansas City. So I'll tell you a little bit about Kansas City. We brand ourselves as One KC. We're the regional economic development group with a strategy on certain verticals to bring attention to the Kansas City market and opportunities that are here. If we can move to the next slide. So little geography, Kansas City, central to the North American market, right in the middle of the U.S. And we provide a lot of opportunities because of that, and I'll explain that in a second. Next slide, if you look, this is the territory we cover, 18 counties, a number of counties on the Missouri side, a number of Kansas counties as well. And we treat this as One KC to present an opportunity to our clients like Niagara. Next slide. That this is all one region. We can help you understand the opportunities that are there in Kansas City and present that as a regional approach. Next slide. So again, 18 counties, 50 cities, 2 states, very well representative. We move forward as a one region. The first meeting when Patrick and his team were with us, we had both Missouri and Kansas in the room talking about this region in comparison to other markets around the country. Next slide. So if you think about Kansas City, we are very similar to the U.S. in terms of our economic and our industry growth. Very diversified market with provides stability to companies, that we don't have the ups and downs of certain regions that are tied to one industry, and allows kind of a predictable and dependable growth market for companies like Niagara. Next slide. Population about 2.3 million, a little over 1 million labor force, so a good growing market. And you'll see in the next slide that we saw close to 60,000 people move into the Kansas City region in the last 4 years. And surprisingly, from some bigger markets around the U.S., that we were bigger than their increase in population. And a slide that fascinates me, the next slide, of where these people are coming from. Of course, the Midwest sees Kansas City as the metropolitan area and an opportunity to move to a bigger market. But you see migration from California, Washington, Florida, and Texas into our market as well. Again, that's a great sign of the stable growth in our region to support companies. And if you look at the next slide, a quick makeup of the companies that are in our region, very diversified again, as I said, including Niagara right there on the left side. Food and beverage, energy, automotive, technology companies, high-tech companies, telecommunication, et cetera, a diverse mix of companies that make our region what it is. Next slide will show you the focus we have. Manufacturing logistics, like the Niagara project that we were able to bring into Kansas City a couple times, healthcare, technology, agriculture and animal health, and then architect, engineering, construction, and design firms have a pretty significant base here. We focus on these industries and support their growth in our region. And then we do that in a structure in the next slide of kind of a holding company, the Kansas City Area Development Council, with these verticals. I represent SmartPort, which is the industrial part, manufacturing, distribution, warehousing. We have the animal health corridor that focuses on animal health, and it's close to 60% of the global animal health industry has a presence and an economic impact in Kansas City. Global design, significant base of companies in architecture, engineering, and construction in our region. We have a focus on talent. Vanessa would appreciate this. We focus not only on our local companies, but our attraction of new ones on how we can support their talent attraction, their technology growth, talent recruitment, as well as talent training. And then the KC Heartland is our culture brand to promote kind of the business to consumer about what's happening in Kansas City and the opportunities that are here. Next slide. From an industrial standpoint, right in the middle of North America, 90% of the U.S. population in 2 days, low operating costs, highly talented and educated, skilled workforce, largest navigable waterway that is becoming more and more important, reliable utility capacity in our region, 4 Class 1 railroads. And right now, in the current tariff situation happening, our foreign trade zone has become very attractive as companies look to understand how they can manage their global supply chain in a foreign trade zone. Next slide. The Heartland, pretty unique in Kansas City that we not only have great sports teams, but we walk around with T-shirts in that Kansas City heart because we're excited to be in Kansas City. If you see the next slide, people are wearing these shirts all over the world, some celebrities as well, but they're promoting the Kansas City region globally with this KC Heart brand that we use in everything we're doing. As I led with the first slide, One KC with the heart, it is our brand that we push around the world to tell people about Kansas City. Next slide, we're excited about being the City of Champions. All of these teams are based in Kansas City, and they've had their run at national championships and continue to compete, which we've been doing a lot of international trips lately, and everybody recognizes the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and some of the things that are happening. It's a great way to break the ice internationally. One in particular, next slide, we are the only purpose-built stadium for a women's professional sports team. This stadium was built right on our riverfront on the Missouri River for our women's professional soccer team, the Kansas City Current. They're an incredible team, doing very well the last couple of seasons. And again, to have this only one built in the world to focus on a women's professional sports team has really added a lot of attention to our market, including the fact, next slide, that we will be a host to World Cup next year. Kansas City is one of the smallest markets in North America to be able to host. So June, July timeframe 2026, we will see over 650,000 fans and tourists, visitors coming to Kansas City to support World Cup, the largest sporting event in the world. We're excited to be a FIFA World Cup city, and it's going to bring the global market to focus on Kansas City next year. This June, we'll have a bunch of 365 days away from World Cup, big events in Kansas City. We're so excited about this and telling a global audience about Kansas City. My next slide is my contact information. I appreciate this opportunity. Look forward to the questions that come. Vanessa, again, thank you for letting us be a part of this, and I'll turn it over to my colleague.
All right, thank you so much, Chris. We'll get to some Q&A at the end, but we'll go ahead and invite John up to give his presentation.
Thank you, Vanessa and Chris. Pleasure to join you on this panel. Great information. My city is a little bit smaller than yours, but we still do a lot of the same work. Yeah, looks like we're up and ready. Okay. My name is John Sweatman. I'm the director of Opelika Economic Development. So I represent the economic development efforts for the city of Opelika. We're a city department just like fire and police and public works. And I also represent our Industrial Development Authority, who owns and manages all the industrial property in the city that we have to offer for projects. Another hat I wear is on our planning commission. So I do economic development, but it's also do a lot of community building and community planning as well. So I'm going to kick it off by just sharing a little bit of a short video with you shows a little bit about what we're up to in Opelika and what our culture looks like.
There's momentum in Opelika. At first glance, you may think it comes from our roots in the railroad, mills, and manufacturing. Sure, that laid the groundwork back in 1854, but through the decades, it's been the generations of people that have made the difference. Neighbors and friends who live and enjoy a shared success that continues to this day. An exceptional school system and educational opportunities, along with a phenomenal learning library and top-notch healthcare facilities, make our community a place to call home. A place where all ages can grow and prosper. And right around the corner from some of Alabama's most historic neighborhoods, billions of dollars of investment have brought cutting-edge industries and good-paying jobs to our city. A thriving downtown, complemented by local shopping, dining, and entertainment venues, offers options as unique as the owners themselves. And for those of you with a competitive streak, Opelika has you covered with state-of-the-art athletic facilities and recreation. When you're ready to slow things down a bit, hop on the Rocky Brook Rocket and return to a simpler time. But there's excitement here, too. You can hear it at our festivals, see it in our arts, and feel it around the holidays. We do it up pretty big in Opelika. So what makes all this possible? Local government, a public service that provides everything from our first responders who keep us safe to workforce training programs to help us thrive. From the roads and bridges we drive on to the incentives that keep our city growing. It's true, the engine that drives Opelika looks a little different than it did in 1854. It looks like us, like you and like me. And it starts here, locally.
So you might have recognized a little bit of that footage in there. We love our Niagara facility, the technology that y'all utilize, the highly skilled workforce that you employ. We brag on you all the time. So just thank you again for choosing Opelika. We're very proud to have you in our community. So just to kind of give you a little bit, there's always has to be a word of warning when you invite an economic developer up to the front of a room. You're going to get a sales pitch, even if you've already chosen to come to us. So, Opelika, you'll see us here located in the eastern central border of the state of Alabama. We border Georgia on our eastern side. We're nicely located in the southeastern United States. So in our backyard, you've got Auburn University within our sister city, Auburn. And I'll touch on how the two cities work together in another slide a little bit more. But that university, they bring it's a different culture. It's a university town versus Opelika's culture, but great opportunities to enjoy high competitive sports, arts and entertainment. So we're really fortunate to have that facility right there in our neighborhood. And if you want to get out of Opelika for a little bit for a long weekend or something, 4-hour drive, you're up to the North Mountains or into Nashville for some music. You can get over onto the East Coast and visit some historic cities like Charleston or Savannah. And then you can also, in about 3 hours, you can head south and go to some of the most beautiful sugar white sand beaches in the world. And I'm not talking about Florida's coastline. I'm talking about Alabama. A lot of folks don't realize that we have some of the most beautiful beaches. There we go, in the world, right there. So, yeah. And, but I don't know if I'm supposed to say it's on the Gulf of Mexico or America so now I'm just trying to say, I'll just say it's on the Gulf. So to drill down a little bit further into Lee County. So Lee County is where the city of Opelika is located. In fact, Opelika is the county seat of Lee County. Opelika was established in 1854, so it puts us about 171 years old. And you see there our relationship to our sister city, Auburn, and our location on the I-85 corridor. So that I-85 corridor is extremely important to our economy. We call it the gift that keeps on giving. We have the Atlanta airport, just a 75-minute drive to the Atlanta airport. For us, it's really good. It's on the south side of Atlanta, so we actually call it our hometown airport. Makes it really easy for when we're recruiting or have located in international companies. It really is an important aspect to their connectivity to be able to get into their facility in Opelika and get back out with ease. A lot of direct connections that are available out of that Atlanta airport. And it helps us go after a lot of global foreign direct investment operations as well, which we do. Lee County, well, we'll talk a little bit about the population of Opelika. So we really kind of are able to hit out of our weight class. The population of Opelika is only 34,000 people. And I say only, but comparatively speaking to what we just saw with Kansas City region, it is. The city of Auburn is about 85,000 people. That's counting their 30,000 plus students. But the county as a whole is over the 200,000 mark. So that puts us as a somewhat major metro area. But it's really that connectivity that you see. The US Highway 280 also intersects with I-85 in the city limits of Opelika. And then we have two other US highways that also intersect with 85 in the city. So it gives us that web of connectivity that we're able to actually attract folks to come into our city from that 50-mile radius, whether it's coming in to shop or go to school or to come in for work. And so that inbound, outbound migration is something that we really experience in that 50-mile radius. So that gives us that population radius of about 800,000 people. We even have Columbus, Georgia, which is over here on the bottom right corner of the map. It's about 25 miles from Opelika. That's about 250,000 people. It's home to Fort Benning Army Base, the largest infantry base in the world. And so some of our largest manufacturer employers, their largest zip code census comes from Columbus, Georgia. It's over a river. It's a different time zone, but they still come because it just makes sense for them. So if we take a little deeper dive into the city of Opelika, you'll see that every 2 miles we have an interstate exit or access point. Up in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see there at exit 66 is the location of our Northeast Industrial Park where Niagara is located. Very close to it is our community college, which has a great partnership with Niagara and our other companies. And then again, just very close proximity, Auburn University, just about 10 minutes away from that industrial park. We've seen a tremendous amount of growth in Opelika, and we're still seeing it. We're projected by 2040 to grow by another 18%. To keep pace with that, our housing has done the same. In 2019, we set a new all-time record for single-family home construction. And you can see with this chart, we've broken that record every year since, except for that little blip in 23 when interest rates got a little crazy, but we rebounded very quickly. And right now, our fiscal year 2025, we have single-family and multifamily permitted permits approved that will exceed the 2024 number. So again, we're continuing to grow at a very fast pace, which provides a lot of great opportunities, but also some challenges that we have to work really hard on to make sure that we do that in a very healthy and responsible way. We don't want to outkick our coverage. At that same time, over the last 20 years, we've seen a lot of new industrial growth. Now, let me preface this by saying about 25 years ago, we were a very heavy-based manufacturing community with only 5 companies employing most of our workers in the city. We had 2 textile facilities. We had a major tire plant, and then we had a diversified products that made health equipment, exercise bikes, and weight machines. And then we had Ampex, which made the magnetic recording tape. And we know when the CDs came out, the digital age came out, that put them in. But all 5 of those companies, they employed close to 8,000 people in the city of Opelika. And they all closed within a period of about 3 to 4 years. And one of the things I'll do often when I'm making presentations, I'll quote our mayor, Mayor Fuller. He's really an economic developer that sits in the mayor's office, but he's been leading our city for the last 25 years, 4 years on the council, and the last 21 as mayor. And he says that we had 2 choices when that happened. We could have thrown a big pity party, or we could have gone to work. And what he decided, and our rest of our leadership decided to do, is go to work. Invested in land for new industrial parks, invested in infrastructure to get them ready for sites. And this is some of the results that we've seen in that time period since then. Now we're at this slide to be updated, over 6,000 new jobs created and over $2.6 billion of capital investment. So we're very fortunate to have, I really wanted to get a chance to talk to the deputy chief from the Ontario Fire Department, because one of the things we do when we're working a project or working a major expansion from one of our existing industries, when we start bringing all the partners to the table, we include our fire and our police, because they're very, very integral in making sure that we have the ability to serve that company that's coming. You know, they may have, it may, on the surface, it may look like that's just like the automotive manufacturing plant that we have right next door, but they may have a 70-foot tower that eventually sometimes is going to have a maintenance guy up there all the way at the top. We have to make sure we have fire coverage to get up there, and if there something happens. So we involve them at the table, all of our city departments. So we're real fortunate as a city to bring our other departments on board, our utility partners. We try to make sure we have everyone at the table. And as Chris mentioned, when Niagara came to Opelika, moved very, very fast. We were talking about it a minute ago with Tobias and Kevin, that I remember one of our first project meetings when we were still trying to stay alive in the hunt for being selected. One of our group mentioned about, I think that was back in the time where steel was getting to be really scarce, and someone asked the question, well, if you decide to build this plant, how are you going to get the steel? And the response from the real estate team, I think, was, we've already ordered the steel, we need an address. So that told us that we had to get really busy and make sure that our team was going to be able to move at the same pace as Niagara. So, so the two cities, Auburn and Opelika, if you think about it, we're really joined at the hip. And we have separate identities, but we are joined at the hip. So if we had GPS tags attached to us, you'd see us get up in the morning and go to work, and then go to lunch, and then go shopping, and then go back home. And I always tell everyone when they ask, what's the dynamic between the two cities? And I said, well, I'll say there's two really big differences. One is Popeye's chicken. You drive up to the speaker in Opelika and order, and you drive around to the window in Auburn and get your food. And so, because if you're not from there, you won't know where you're at. And the other one, no one is ever born in Auburn, because we have a hospital. And that allows me to transition and talk about our great healthcare. So, but it's, as that video showed in the beginning, it's our people that make all the difference. We're very authentic. We try to communicate that. We're very intentional about creating spaces and activities that allow us to show that authenticity, and to just allow us to come together. The biggest photo in this slide here is a picture of our courthouse square and the historic courthouse. So as I mentioned earlier, Opelika is the county seat, so all the county business is done in the city of Opelika. So that's the county courthouse where all the county commission and all that business is done. So this area is about a 30-block area in our historic downtown. It is a protected historic entertainment district. And the way that looks like is all the buildings there, most of them are at least 100 years old. And they're protected by historic standards. They can't be torn down. We're not going to have any high rises in this downtown, because we know that's where our identity is. That's where we want to make sure that we protect that, so people understand that this is some of what we value. The city owns this big park right there in the center, and that would be great, for me to be able to go out and recruit a commercial building or a boutique hotel, but we won't do that. We're committed to keeping this green space, so it's a place where people come to. On this far end right over here, every Christmas we have a big event called Snowpelika, which you saw some of that in the video. But we have our bragging rights as of last year was we have the tallest Christmas tree in the state of Alabama at 72 feet when it sits in that park, and that's where that event takes place, as well as our parade through downtown. But our downtown, I just want to touch on that just a little bit to kind of give you an idea of what we do and how we protect our culture. Is if you think about your home, and when you have family or friends come to visit you at your home, there's a space where you're going to hang out, whether it's your living room or maybe you got one of those great outdoor patio, outdoor kitchen areas or something you hang out. But that's where you're going to get to know each other, live life together, and that's what our downtown is. So we have probably 2 to 5 festivals every single month where we close streets down. We have in our downtown, we have all kinds of shops and stores, but we have two microbreweries. We have the first legal distillery in the state of Alabama since Prohibition. We just announced our second distillery. We have great restaurant offerings, and it's an entertainment district. So that means you can go get lunch and get a glass of an adult beverage of your choice and leave the restaurant with it and go walking and go into the art gallery or go shopping or walk to the next venue. And so in that space, we'll close the streets down and invite the company to come in from not just from Auburn and Opelika, but from the entire region. And we pull, our events will pull from quite a big area. And we'll have food festivals, we have craft beer festivals, we have a songwriters festival that lasts 4 days where we bring songwriters in from all over the U.S. Where you just every coffee shop and bookstore and the breweries, they all turn into music venues. And it's just a great time where we get to come and get to know each other. And again, just introduce folks to Opelika. So we always say that, when we're working a project, if we can get to the point where we actually have a site visit, our odds of getting you to choose Opelika go way up. We just feel that's because that's how we lean in. Another quote from Mayor Fuller, and I'll end with this, is he'll tell everyone when we're recruiting a project that, right now we're courting you. We're bringing you flowers. We're opening the door for you, just like every other community is doing that you're visiting. And they should, just like we should. But what'll happen if you decide to choose Opelika, when you get here, you're going to find out that courtship becomes a marriage. And then that will continue on and on, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road, regardless if there's leadership changes, that culture that we have of being partners with our community, business and our citizens is something that we're very committed to. So again, appreciate this time to share a little bit, and again, happy to answer any questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John. Take a seat. I think we're going to open it up for Q&A. I'm not sure how many questions we have, but I have a couple questions I can get us kicked off with. So I'll start with you, Chris. Just selfishly, as a big soccer fan and the mom of 2 young female soccer players, what you guys have done with the Kansas City Current is amazing. And getting prepared for such a global stage, how do you go about really thinking about your culture and your brand and what that looks like with so much of the world's attention coming your direction?
Yeah, great question, Vanessa. We'll get you in town for a Current match and bring your daughters.
I love it.
It's kind of a challenging situation because there's 16 cities in North America that will host the biggest World Cup ever. They've admitted more country teams than ever. And you're still under the auspices of FIFA, so they're in control of this. But they are allowing each of the host cities to make it their own. So we formed a group locally called the Kansas City 2026 group. They're a private, separate, not-for-profit to really manage transportation, housing, infrastructure, security, all the things that are going to be important to host this. And the theme, similar to what John said, is to remember this is in Kansas City. We want things that are invested in growth that are going to continue after World Cup. Too many times people host Olympics or something in cities, and they invest a lot of money, and then those infrastructure just sits. So there's a ton of projects rushing to get done, always keeping the theme that this is Kansas City. We've still got a lot of work to do to get this ready, but we're excited about it. We're hoping to hear later in the third quarter of what matches we have. And there's a thing called a base camp that each country locates somewhere to practice and travel to the matches, and all their fans will come with them. So we're hoping to land a couple of base camps as well. But very exciting, very challenging for all of us to put this on, and remembering that it's FIFA's event. It's not necessarily our event. They remind us of that, but it's going to be great.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. I'm sure that's a lot to prepare for. My next question, and maybe John, you can lean into this one, although I think you both probably have perspective. You both talked about your growing population. And so as you have lots of new people coming in, how do you keep the culture and the brand of your community at the forefront as you have so many people coming in that may cause some natural shift and change in that culture and brand?
Sure. Thank you, Vanessa. I'll just add to that question with Chris. The FIFA event is really big. Atlanta is also going to be a host city, so there's really opportunities for Opelika in that as well. We're looking at the home base communities. They want to be outside of the big city venues for their prep and their training and everything. So we're raising our hand, saying in Opelika that would be a great place. So that's an opportunity for other communities that necessarily aren't a host city, but also be able to participate in that event. Just being able to share our culture and pass it along but also at the same time being open to letting it evolve as new people come in, I think is a priority for us. We do a lot of work. We're very intentional about our public-private partnerships and bringing all the stakeholders to the table, whether it's our nonprofits, our faith-based community, our city departments, just to keep that conversation going and making sure that we're valuing what is important to us and inviting those new people as they move to the community to get engaged. One of the things we do, one incentive thing we add to our incentive package when we're recruiting a new company is that we give them a membership to our Sportsplex and Aquatic Center. So we'll give the company so many memberships where their key leadership, when they come in, their whole family can be a member of this. Not just because we want to have more bodies at this great facility, but we know that if you're new to the community, it's important to create a opportunity for you to get engaged with people, and that's a way opportunity for them to share the culture.
Vanessa, we do something in Kansas City. It's almost intern season as college students look for intern opportunities. Over the last couple of years, we've done an event with 5,000-6,000 interns that the company's trying to get them to think about the job. We grab those interns to think about Kansas City, and they go to cultural events and sporting events and entertainment, and don't just sit in their hotel and watch Netflix. We make sure they get sticky to Kansas City while they also find that job opportunity. And it's been a great success to get those interns to take the job because they want to live in the Kansas City region.
Yeah, I love that. I think you both talked about engagement and connection, and I think similarly at Niagara, that's something that's really important, right? Getting people feeling connected, feeling like they belong, and they're engaged with, the community or the organization. I don't do have any other questions in the room, or I'm not sure if you have questions online.
Good morning or afternoon, wherever you are. I'm Patrick Drynan, Director of Economic Development with Niagara. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, John, for the presentations. The one thing I wanted to ask was, well, first, both of you commented on Niagara's approach. We really appreciate great partners. We talked about it yesterday about economic development partnerships and how we work together for success, and really appreciate both of your teams, which led to our success in your communities. Of the two of you, we have 3 plants, 2 in the Kansas City area, 1 in Alabama, so appreciate everything. The question I had was related to branding. What kind of outcomes or learnings did you take away from your efforts to brand and promote your communities, and how can others who are listening in on the presentation learn from your experiences? What could they take away, either something to watch out for or something to capitalize on? Thank you.
I don't know, Chris, I picked up on that sticky Kansas City. That was pretty good. I tried to pitch that you got to like Opelika, but so far our marketing department hasn't really ran with that yet. Just the branding is just being consistent, being on all platforms, making sure that we're telling the story, not just our story, the slides that I share, but there's so many great stories that are happening in the city of Opelika and in our region, that we just got to make sure that we keep that out there in front of people.
Yeah, and the only thing, Patrick, I'd add to that, I mean, we like to say we're the coalition of the willing, that all of these communities and counties and 2 states and all of our corporate and private investors, they've all got to be on the same page to understand the brand and how it represents itself, and that being on a state line, we very much get that buy-in that this is one KC. We're not trying to locate them in Kansas or Missouri. We just want to beat Alabama. We're trying to make
you're one up in the Niagara category, so we're going to work on a second one.
We've got to move together as one and all embrace that brand, or it doesn't resonate with the client ultimately.
There's a quick follow-up question. Has there been a challenge or a situation you guys have run into in trying to create some alignment and consistency in brand?
Yeah, I'll stick with it for a second. I mean, it's there are communities and leaders that want to make sure their community or their brand stands out a little bit, and we embrace that. I mean, the competition's not within Kansas City, it's elsewhere, so we let them do their branding, and we embrace that, and we, try to make sure that fits within the overall regional branding. But it's all stuff that we talk about as a local team before the client comes. You don't want that to show up in front of the client, and make sure that we're cooperating to ultimately win the project that comes to market.
Thanks, Chris.
Chris, and maybe I missed it, but I don't know how we got this far and we haven't talked about Kansas City barbecue yet. I believe that needs to be part of the presentation next time. And for John, I was just going to, we go through an educational process with our team members who go out to Opelika, and the question for you is War Eagle or Roll Tide?
War Eagle.
Yeah. Part of the training curriculum.
But if I'm in the mayor's office, it's Roll Tide.
Well, listen, I just wanted to tell you, you guys have both invested a lot of your personal time, professional time, in helping us make the best decision, helping us start up, great locations where we create jobs and economic activities. So I just want to thank you both for the immense amount of time you've both invested in us, and it's not lost on us. We really appreciate you both.
Thank you. And you will get barbecue if you come to Kansas City. That's a given.
Last week.
All right. Any other questions before we wrap up?
I just want to make a brief point, compliment you both. John Krug with Niagara's ED team. Being able to brand and market is very much the ability to tell a great story. And if anything I've taken away from this is that both of you gentlemen are incredible storytellers. It's to your advantage, and love being around anybody that I can learn how to tell great stories from. So thanks for what you do, how you do it, and thanks for your support.
Awesome. Thanks, John. Well, with that, I don't know, Chris or John, if either of you had any closing remarks or anything you wanted to share to close us out.
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Well, we appreciate your guys' time. Thank you for being here to talk to this group. Thank you to everybody who's in the room and online. We have one final session for today at noon. So in about 20 minutes, we'll do, I think it's an awards ceremony to close out the summit. So just thank you all so much. We appreciate you.
Thousand people count.